You ever see a band that like moves you so much and you're like, oh my God, dude, like Depeche.
Well, for me, it really was not. I mean, it really was not Depeche Mode. I mean, I was a teenager in the '80s, but I was a metalhead, and so those bands for me. I mean, my brother and I were front row center for Metallica as an opening act for Ozzy Osbourne. They were on their Master of Puppets tour. That was in July of 1986. We camped out for 2 days for those tickets. We made a giant banner for that out of one of our out of a bed sheet that we found out later on was one of our great grandmother's bed sheets that my mom had like inherited. And that banner right now today hangs in Metallica's rehearsal space in San Rafael, California. It does. Yeah, that's fucking cool. Rush throughout the first half of the '80s was that for my brother and I. In the late '80s into the early '90s, they kind of lost us with the keyboard shit, but they brought it back. You know, they came back around with like Presto and Show Don't Tell and stuff like that. Iron Maiden, 82, 83, 84, 85 was that for me. Motörhead, fuck. Motörhead back in the day. And then in 2011, with Lars from Metallica, I was hanging out with him one night. I was his divorce attorney in 2004, 5, and 6. And I got to stand on the side of the stage for a Motörhead show at the Warfield in San Francisco in 2011. And got to go down in the basement, the backstage area, and met all of the guys in the band, all three of whom asked me if I wanted some speed. You know, and of course, throughout the early, mid, late '80s, I mean, throughout the entire decade that he was around, my brother and I got, we went and saw Stevie Ray Vaughan every fucking chance we got, man. Wait, hang on. Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah, you know, in those shows, and again, it's like we camped out for days. We were always within the first few rows when you could still actually do that and pay $15 for your ticket. All of these shows that I'm talking about in the '80s, we paid $15 or less total ticket price for those shows. And they were the most incredible fucking shows that I've ever seen in my life. Let me see who else. I never got to see Randy Rhoads play live. I had tickets to go see him in May of 1982 playing with Ozzy, and he was killed in March of 1982. Rush. I never got to see Queen with Freddie Mercury, which, you know, that bummed me out. Late '80s, Guns N' Roses. They were, the first time that I saw Guns N' Roses, it was either at like Mershon Auditorium or Vets Memorial in Columbus, early in 1987, I think. They were the opening act for the Cult. I went to see the Cult, and the opening act was this band that none of us had ever heard of called Guns N' Roses. And they came out and played, and it was just like, what the fuck was that? And then it was Alice in Chains when they first came out, Rage Against the Machine when they first came out, Soundgarden when they first came out. You know, I got to see Pearl Jam uh, at the Newport Music Hall in Columbus, Ohio. Who else do I have on my wall? Um, you know, I got to see Metallica with Cliff Burton twice, man. It's just like, what the fuck? I didn't see Van Halen. There's Eddie. There's my Frankie that I built. I didn't get to see them before David Lee Roth quit in 1984. I mean, it was just like, you know, and then in 1986, when, I don't know, they put out 5150, I guess, their first album was Sammy Hagar. And, you know, it's like the girl I was dating my senior year of high school. She wanted to go see Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. So I went and did that. That was a good show. The very first couple of concerts that I saw when I was 8, 9 years old, got to see Cheap Trick at the Ohio State Fair. And then a month or two after that, it was 1977, so I would have been 9. We went to Cincinnati Riverfront Coliseum and we saw Kiss on the Love Gun tour. And we got, my brother and I were 8 and 9 years old. We got separated from our stepdad who took us. We went all the way up front. It was general admission. There were no assigned seats. We were up against the gate. We were like up against the fucking gate like this. At 8 and 9 years old, we were directly in front of Gene Simmons. And there was like this half circle of high school kids who was like protecting us from the crowd because they thought it was cool that we were as young as we were and we were there to see Kiss. And that show was simultaneously incredible, and Gene Simmons scared the fucking shit out of both of us. Spitting the blood and spitting flames, and he was like 10 feet away from us. Scared the shit out of both of us. We got to see Harry Chapin with our mom at Vets Memorial. We got to see Frank Zappa when we were little kids with our mom. And we got to see Bob Marley again with our mom. All of those were at Vets Memorial in Columbus. Just got to see some phenomenal shows. I got to see Steve Morris at the Newport and opening for Rush. Got to see Megadeth and King Diamond at Bogarts in Cincinnati. Got to see Slayer at Bogarts in Cincinnati right when they were starting the Rain and Blood tour in late 1986. Saw Anthrax more times than I could count, man. Saw those guys so many fucking times. I mean, I've probably seen Metallica probably 40 or 45 times. I saw Rush 40 or 45 times. I've seen Iron Maiden a dozen times. We saw Dio a bunch of times back in the day, man. With the worst fucking opening act I've ever seen in my entire life. That was Rough Cut because they wouldn't stop playing. Man. And like I said, man, every single one of those fucking shows, our tickets were $15 or less. You just, those experiences don't exist anymore. And it's horrific and it's terrible and it's sad and tragic. But those experiences don't exist anymore. Dude, I've seen Metallica play clubs. You know, the whole 200 people. You know, shows that were just fucking amazing. Lamb of God. I saw them play a small venue in LA in, I think it was late 2022. And metal is metal. I love Rush. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I love Queen and bands like that. But metal is fucking life, man. Until you're in the mosh pit at like a serious metal show, you haven't lived. Until you go to a show and you like that and you get in the fucking pit, knowing full well that it's likely that you're going to come out with a broken nose, a busted lip, a black eye, or some kind of relatively minor fracture, you have not lived. You just haven't lived. There's nothing better than being in the pit, man. There's absolutely nothing better than being in a real pit, mosh pit. There just isn't.